Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Mode, and boy, I just got off work and it was a great day. Actually, not too busy. I work a very physical job, so tonight I am inspired and not tired for a change. So I thought we'd have some fun making a festive New Year's card in a loose style, real free-flowing, paint splattering, fun kind of way. So let's get started. Get your brushes and your paints ready, and let's paint a New Year's card. You guys ready? We are going to do this thing. We're making a very festive and splashy, just free and easy New Year's celebratory card. So first thing I have done is got my little sheet of Hahnemuhle 140 paper, cold press, cut out into a 10 by 7, and I measure it a little long so I can cut off the sides and the end for a clean edge, but I leave the deckled edge intact because it looks really pretty when you have it folded. It's on the side on the vertical and on the bottom on the horizontal, whichever one you choose to do. So I've got that all ready to go, and I just have folded that 10 by 7 in half and worked a knife over it just to get it laying flat, and then I'm bending it back and forth. So next thing I want to do is get it taped down, and you may ask why I'm doing my own paper rather than buying a kit that comes with cards like this. And my answer is I don't like the way the paint behaves on the paper. So it tends to buckle and puddle more than my Hahnemuhle, and also it dries a little bit duller. So I like the vibrant colors, and especially for this project that we're going to be doing, we need to have bright, festive, fun colors. So I don't use this. I have it in my studio. I just have it sitting here to show you what not to use. So I'm going to set that aside. And then the next question you might be asking is, what the heck is the cling wrap, the Kirkland cling wrap, I might add, doing here in this project? Well, you do use plastic wrap sometimes to add texture to your paintings, but in this case, because this is going to be somewhat splashy and splattery and a little bit messy, I want to cover the back side of my card. For me personally, I want that just to be plain white and not have splatters, although it might be kind of fun actually to have some splatters like that. So I'm just going to lay it across there and grab my handy dandy artist tape and tape this puppy down to the board. And I'm using a gator board. You can use any waterproof surface that you might have. Sometimes Coroplast works really good and it's nice and lightweight. So I'm just going to come in a little bit from that fold so I have a border when I take the tape off. And I've got some here. I try to use my tape several times because I paint a lot and that stuff can get expensive. And I use artist tape because it peels off a little bit easier than, say, masking tape, and I don't want the surface of the paper to come up with the tape. So that is why I use artist tape, and you can get that online. I'll give you links to where you can find my supplies that I'm using in today's video. So I'll get this little guy, tape this side down. When I peel it up, I'm going to be super careful because Hahnemuhle does tend to come up with the tape a little bit. So I don't want to do that. I want to avoid that if I can. And you should see my studio. I've got little pieces of tape hanging everywhere. Okay, so for this project, I am using my Dagger striper. Princeton, it's their Neptune line, And it's, when it's wet, we'll get it wet and show you, it has a really nice fine tip and it's very splishy, splashy. This would work really well too. I might pull it in and just kind of play around with it in this project. But this is a whole, I got this at a Tom Lynch workshop, so I'm not sure that it's even available. But you can find rigger brushes in a lot of different brands. So this is a number 4 rigger, and it's a Holbein, and I don't think Holbein makes brushes anymore. I just can't seem to find them online. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place, but you can use a long bristled brush like that too. So we're going to try to stay really super loose. So I like to hold my brush more toward the end of the handle, and you're not going to get loose if you're all stiff up in the ferrule of the brush. So I'm going to I think I'll set that over here just in case. And grabbing a paper towel, I want ready to go. I'm just going to set it aside because I think I'm going to be moving my board around, and I don't want the paper towel to kind of get in the way of that. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some water, and my thoughts of something fun to do would be fireworks. How much of a celebration does that indicate when you see fireworks going off? So first thing I've done is I'm just grabbing clear water, and I'm going to do a little bit of adding some water in just some splishy kind of different directions like you would see in a firework going off. So I'm going to add, I'll probably do 3. And I can see as I'm tipping the paper toward my lamp here where my clear water is. So I'm just going to keep on keeping on and splashing around, and then we'll move on to the next part of this fun little project. Super, super easy. The thing to keep in mind on the paint is because there's water already on the paper, the paint mixture should be a little bit thicker. If you want it to dry darker and vibrant, you need to have a good mixture of paint. It needs to be a thicker consistency. So when you add it to the water on the paper, it doesn't dilute too much. You're going to get a brighter color. So I think I've got a pretty good amount of water in there. So I'm just going to drop some in and then watch it spread around and flow wherever that water is, and don't necessarily need to stick to where the water is, but it's a good place to start. So look at how the water just attracts the paint. So that's a real fun way to paint. I love painting like that. Can you see how cool that is? It just flows out. It's beautiful. I love it. Oh my goodness, that's so fun. So I've got a bunch of bright colors mixed up, and I'll list them in the description below. I'm using a lot of Daniel Smith colors, and I've got some Holbein colors in here as well. So the phthalos, those greens, those beautiful greens right here, and the cobalt turquoise, those are Daniel Smith colors, and they're gorgeous. So keep on adding and using the tip of this brush to just make some fun swooshy little marks. It's very cool. And there is some phthalo green. Just drop that in here and there and let it spread and do the watercolor thing, watercolor magic. And I also have, that I forgot to mix up over here, is such a beautiful Holbein color. It's bright violet, and it just goes so nicely in with all these colors. Is that just fun? And this is a Perline Daniel Smith color, a little bit darker in there, gives us some depth. And how about some of that splash that we talked about? Oh, I do want to add, I've got some glitter paint, not glitter paint, it's Holbein Antique Silver and Antique Gold. Just drop in a little bit of that. So when it dries, that shimmer will show up in the paint. If you're sending this as an original to somebody saying Happy New Year, let's celebrate, or whatever the case may be, they can see that glitter in there. I don't think it'll show up in a print so well, but look at how vibrant those colors are. I'm gonna set that down. My hand's getting tired. This is pretty watery, so I want to soak up just a little bit of that and add some more really thick Opera Rose by Winsor Newton. And how about some splatter? We talked about splatter. And going in different directions. So that is all I'm gonna do. And then I think when this dries, and it's gonna need to dry completely before I do anything further, as far as text goes, I wanna add some text. So this needs to be completely dry for me to be able to do that. And some of these, woo, that just that just dropped, but that's kind of cool too. So look at that. Fun, 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 fun. All right, we're gonna let it dry and come back and look at what we can do as far as adding text. All kinds of different ways to do that, but I'll show you the way that I do it. And I'm just adding, this is pretty watery too, so I want that to dry really bright in that bright violet. So, okay, now I will stop. Okay, let's let it dry. How fun is that? Okay, so I have let this dry and kind of was playing around with what I thought was going to work as far as the text goes, and it did not, so I had to change my plan a little bit. Originally, I had thought that I could get a dark enough image or text with regular graphite paper. I've used white graphite paper in the past over darker paint, but since this has so much of the light of the paper, I thought I had better try the regular graphite paper. Well, it didn't work. So I had to change directions and see what I could do to add some text, and hopefully it turns out. So if it doesn't, that's my disclaimer. What I do typically is I pick a font that I like on pages and print it out and then trace over it. Then I will put my graphite paper underneath that and then trace over the top, and it'll transfer my text. And that works beautifully on dark paint. But this time I couldn't do that. So what I opted to do instead was I took this whole thing off, just came off all in one piece, so that wasn't a big deal. And I put the text underneath. I taped it to, I have a light box, but you could use a bright window as well. Tape your text to that window and then your painting over top of that, and I could see through it with the light backlight enough to put a pencil sketch in here. So that's what I did. And I'm just gonna see where this goes because I'm not really sure. I have a whole bag of markers, but I'm thinking those are going to be a little bit tricky too because the tips are so big. These are Tombow markers, and they do have a fine tip on them, but I wasn't so sure about how that was going to work with the paper. So I could just really use a very light touch and come over my pencil lines. I could do that, so that's an option. And really very light touch is what I will have to do if I use the pen. I don't want that text to get too thick, so if I use too much pressure, it's going to get too thick. So I don't want to do that. My other option was to use my acrylic white marker after I put down some black with a micron, and this is a number 8. So I think that's what I'm going to do. That way I can see the text when I put that marker over the top of it. So let's just give that a try. I don't know how this is going to work, but if I don't like it, I haven't lost anything. I've had fun painting this, and I can paint it again and do it differently the next time, or just not add text. It's just fine without text. So that is all I have to say about that. And I'm just going to trace right around my text very carefully because I don't want to go outside the lines too much. And there's my E. Some of it's kind of getting lost in the dark, and nobody wants to get lost in the dark. So that's not looking too bad. I'm happy with that. It's not standing out too terribly much yet. So we're going to see what we can do about that. And there's my exclamation points. And I may lose a lot of that when I put this marker over the top, but then we can also outline that with some of our paint. So I'm just going to keep going with that thought and come right over the top. This could just be a whole new thing. You never know. And you don't know until you give it a shot. So I give it a shot. You can still see it, so that's encouraging. And that'll probably be all that I do with that, but one more time around with the black. And, you know, now that I've gotten to this point, maybe I will just go ahead and do, pick a color, any color. And I kind of like that. It might stand out over the top. So let's see how that works. Again, this is an experiment. I'm just winging it here. I don't know how it's going to look. But it may just be awfully cool. And then somebody will get a special card from me for New Year's. Kind of liking that. It's fun and festive, that's for sure. And that is what I'm going for. And I'm layering, layer, layer, layer. Each layer makes me think that I should do something else. And I'm going back to the white marker over the top of that. Give it a whole different look. I was thinking to have it stand out more, but I don't really think that's necessary. Actually, I'm going to come on the back side of it this time and just add a little shadow. All right, I kind of like that. I kind of like that look with the different layers of marker for the text. Looks pretty cool. Okay, celebrate, celebrate. New Year's coming. Hopefully it's going to be a good one and things are going to look brighter for the future, but celebrate. Go out and make your card. This is a really fun project and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I would love it if you would join me on my channel. I'm planning to do more of these types of videos and it's really fun. Watercolor painting is awesome. So hope you have a good night. Take care until the next video. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.